Hello, so what we're going to be covering in this video is how you are going to create Python programs and save them in .py files using the file editor in idle. The interactive shell is good for running Python instructions one at a time. To write entire Python programs, you will type the instructions into the file editor. The file editors like text editors such as Notepad, Notepad++, or TextMate, but it has some specific features for typing in source code. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open idle. So there's a couple of ways that you can go ahead and do that. Uh, I've recently added idle so it shows up above in my list. If I go ahead and scroll on down, I should have a separate information for Python 3.9, so I could go ahead and open it up from there. And what I've done is I've actually added a shortcut onto my taskbar, so I can just go ahead and click on that shortcut. So let me go ahead and open up idle. So as you can see, when you initially open up idle, it opens up into the internet active shell because we see the 3 greater than sign prompt. So what we're going to do throughout this course, we are going to be creating or using separate .py files. So to do that, you need to go ahead and click on File, and then go ahead and click on New File. And what that does is that goes ahead and it opens up a new file in idle's file editor. So what we have here is we have a cursor that is clicking. So we can go ahead and enter the information into our file editor right now. And then after we've entered the information, we could just go ahead and save what we've entered into the file editor as a separate .py file. So there's a couple of ways that you can tell the difference between the interactive shell and the actual file, is that the interactive shell will always contain the one with the 3 greater than signs or the prompt. So we can see that is currently the interactive shell because it includes the 3 greater than signs. The file editor will just have the cursor. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and create our first program. So in this first program, what we're going to do is we're going to prompt the user for name and an age. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and print out the user's name that they entered, and then their age with 1 year added on to their age. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a comment. So when you enter a comment, you would enter the hashtag, and then that tells the Python interpreter that it is a comment, and it will skip over reading that line since it is a comment. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in my first Python program. The one thing that you're going to want to do throughout the semester is add comments to your program to let the user know exactly what you're doing in your program, and to let someone that is not familiar with your program be able to understand what you're trying to do in your program. So comments are very important when you're creating programs in any language. So that is our first comment. This is a pretty simple program, so I don't think I'll add any additional comments to it. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and prompt the user to enter their name, and we're going to save it in a variable called name. So what we need to do is we need to type in name, and then the assignment operator, which is a single equal sign, and then to gather input from the user, we would just type in input. And then what we can do is we can actually type in the text that we want to prompt the user with within our input call. So let me just go ahead and enter opening and closing single quotes, and I will type in what is your name, and then I will add a space. That way, when the prompt comes up, it is the information that they entered is not run together with the actual prompt. So what we're going to do on this line of code is we're going to prompt the user to enter their name. Once they've entered their name and hit enter, then that value will get saved in our name variable. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to prompt the user to enter their age. So we'll just go ahead and write in another input statement to prompt them. So what is your age? And then what we want to do, since we're going to be, when you enter any input that the user enters, it is entered as a string and gets saved in the variable as a string. So when you're entering numbers, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to convert those numbers to either an integer or a float, so you can go ahead and use them if they are needed to be used in calculations. Since we're going to be adding 1 to the age of our user, what I'm going to do is I am going to convert whatever input they entered into an int value. So in order to do that, I can just wrap my input statement around the int function, and what that'll do is that'll convert that input from an string into an integer and save the age as an int into my age variable. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and add 1 to our age. So I will just go ahead and print out age equals age plus 1. So that will add that additional year to their age. And then what we're going to do is we're going to print the information out and display it to the user. So in order to do that, we're going to use a print statement, and I'm going to go ahead and show you several ways that you could go ahead and print this information out. So the first one I'm going to use is called string concatenation. So what I'm going to type in is the name of my variable, my name variable, which is name. And then the string concatenation operator is a plus sign. And then what I will type in is the text that I want to display. And I need to include that within either single or double quotes. And I need to specify a space before the W and after the E, or the information will run into each other. And then I need to go ahead and print out or display the age. And now, since the age has been saved as an integer, what we need to do is we need to convert it back to a string, because when you use the string concatenation operator, everything that follows that concatenation operator must be a string value. So that's what we're going to do next. Is I am just going to go ahead and use my string function to convert my age from an int back into a string. And then I'll concatenate next year onto it. And I will just go ahead, close out the parentheses. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and save and run the file. So one of the ways that you can go ahead and save a file, you can just go ahead and click on File and then Save, or Control S. Or the other way you can do is if you go ahead and click on the Run and the Run Module button, if you've made any changes to the file, it'll prompt you to go ahead and save that program. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on Run Module, and the source must be saved. So I'll go ahead and click on OK. And then I will go ahead and save it under my CIS 156 directory or folder. So and what I'm going to call it is my first program, and by default it'll go ahead and attach the .py uh, it, file type to the end of the file. So let me just go ahead and save it out. And now it'll go ahead and run the program. So what I need to do is I'll enter a first name, Aaron, and we will enter an age, which is 37. And what it'll print out is Aaron will be 38 next year. So basically, that's one way we could go ahead and print that information out. The next way I'm going to go ahead and show you. So let's go ahead and type in print. And then what you can do is you can go ahead and actually separate the values that you're going to print out, or the text that you're going to print out, by commas. And when you do this, you do not have to go ahead and convert the age integer value into a string. The other thing that'll happen is that when you specified name, comma, it'll add a separation blank space. So what I don't need to do is I don't need to go ahead and add those blank spaces now, because those will automatically get added when I add the comma. So will be, and then all we have to do is specify our age and make sure and specify the comma. And then it will be next year, and specify my closing parenthesis. And then what I'm going to do is I'll just go ahead and click on the Run Module button. And again, it'll ask me if I want to save it, or that it must be saved. So I'll click on OK. What it'll do is it'll automatically save it to the file, to the folder that you selected previously, and that comes up when you actually run your file, which is CIS 156 First Program. So let me just go ahead and type in Aaron again, and I will add 40 in there. And basically what it does is it prints, since I have two print statements that are printing the exact same thing, that is what is getting displayed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and close this file. So if you need to access a file, .py file that's on your system, the way to do that is to just go ahead and open up idle. And then I could access this one of two ways. Since I've just used this file before, I can go ahead and select it from my recent files. The other way that I can open it up is just click on Open, and then just go into the actual folder where I saved my file, and I will go ahead and select First Program and open it up. So it pops back up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something called an F string. And an F string was added to Python 3.6 or later. So hopefully you are all using Python 3.6 or later. And if you are, you can take advantage of an F string. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same print statement. And I will go ahead and specify my print. But what I need to do first is I need to specify that it is actually an F string. And the way I do that is by specifying F and then a colon after that. So, and then what you need to do is you need to specify the name of the variables that you're going to go ahead and print out within curly braces. So what I need to do is I need to add a curly brace. I want to specify my name. And then any spaces that you add to this will get added to the actual string itself. So I will just add a space and then will be, and I will specify my age variable. And then I will just specify next year, and I will close this out, and we will go ahead and run this. The other way you can go ahead and run a program is the F5 key. So if I go ahead and click on F5, it'll go ahead and prompt me that I must save it. I'll click on OK. It'll go ahead and save it again. I'll enter another name, and what it should do is it should print out the same statement 3 times. So throughout the semester, this is where you're going to be, if you're using idle, this is where you're going to be, how you're going to be creating your programs. You're going to be creating them in a new file. Once you've created and saved the programs, then you'll be submitting them based on whatever assignment the program applies through. And this is by no means the extent of how you could go ahead and print these strings out. There's plenty of documentation that walks you through how you can format strings and how you can print that information out. So there's other ways that you would be able to do the same thing. So that's all I had for this video. So we will go ahead and talk to you later.